Hello everyone, the Vern here from Cinema Recall. Like most other podcasters out there, I used to worry about finding a good hosting site that will allow me to post episodes without worrying about space or my bank account. Well, with Anchor, I no longer have those worries. With Anchor, they have all the great tools that make podcasting very easy, not only on a desktop, but on your smartphone as well. Plus, they will do the work to get your show on multiple podcast players such as Spotify, Stitcher, Podchaser, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and much, much more. You can earn money with limited listeners too. And the best thing of all, they will do this all for free. That's right, free. So go to Anchor FM today. The following podcast will contain adult language and heavy spoilers. It is intended for a mature audience. Hello everybody, and welcome to our very first episode of our Map to Mulholland Drive, or Map of Mulholland Drive, here at the Cinema Recall Podcast. I am your host, your chauffeur, the Vern. Joining me, again, is a good friend of the show, Jason Soto of Whatever with Jason Soto. Hello, Jason.
Hello, Vern. What's up?
Hello, what's up indeed. And returning back to the show for being away for a little while, Ryan Luis Rodriguez of the Reels of Justice podcast, as well as Coolness Chronicles. Hello, Ryan.
Hello, Vern. How you doing, buddy?
Doing good, sir. Now, both of these gentlemen are with me right now to travel out to California. We are going to solve the mystery that is Mulholland Drive, David Lynch's Mulholland Drive, and we're kind of going through this movie scene by scene, chapter by chapter. Really want to have people understand and decipher this movie, because it took me several watches of this movie to decipher it. Now, Ryan,
yes.
How many times have you seen Mulholland Drive?
So, I am only at 2 viewings.
Okay.
But I think I have a better handle on it now than I did in my first viewing, which was kind of a revelatory experience the first time I saw it.
I think it's the same way for everybody when they first saw the movie. It's just, we are just completely blown away, and I kind of took everything at face value when I was watching this. Now, it's clear to say, Ryan, that this was not your first David Lynch movie watching.
No, that would be Blue Velvet.
Blue Velvet.
Because that was back in high school. I didn't watch this until about 4 years ago, maybe 3.
Okay.
When I really got into a big David Lynch kick.
Gotcha. And what would you say is your favorite David Lynch movie?
Can I cheat?
Well, you can do whatever you want to, buddy.
Okay, Twin Peaks: The Return.
I heard that's
an 18-hour movie, but they call it a television series. It's not. It's an 18-hour movie, and it's the greatest thing ever.
I hear a lot of people talking about that show, saying it's like the greatest thing ever made. And I'm so excited. I am about 2 episodes away from finishing season 2 of Twin Peaks. Then next week, I get to go to the theaters to watch Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me.
Nice.
And then afterwards, on the Criterion Channel, they have the Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me with all the deleted scenes. There's like 2 hours of deleted scenes.
Yeah, the missing pieces, I believe they call it.
Yeah. And then I can go and watch the new series. So I'm kind of doing everything in order. I may have to take a break and watch like another TV show when I get done with like Twin Peaks and the movies. Just give that a little break right there. But then I'll get back onto it right away.
It'll be like a symbolic break, like how we had to wait 20 years for the season to come in. You just have to wait a week. That's all.
Very much so. Before we dive into the first section of Mulholland Drive, I do want to give some quick shout-outs to people who retweeted our last episode, our first episode, where we had me and Jason Soto talk about our favorite David Lynch features. So I gotta give a shout out here to Via VHS, Horror Dads, Mutant Theater, Shots and Applaud, Nostalgia Podcast, Your Next Favorite Movie, Let's Chat Live, Howard Kasner of Pop Art, and Science Fiction Remnants. So thank you very much for retweeting and sharing episodes. And a bunch of nice people shared their thoughts on their favorite David Lynch movies, and I'm going to talk about those at the end of the show. So if you're expecting to hear your name now, you'll have to wait until the end of the actual episode there.
Damn it.
Paul...
Oh, man.
What a tease.
I'm
I'm angry.
Oh. Now, I don't know if you remember this, though, but when I had the DVD of Mulholland Drive when it first came out, they gave you 10 clues.
Yes.
That's right. Yep.
Yes.
To unlock in this movie. And I wrote these down. Well, I didn't write them down. I copied them because I wasn't going to try to write down each one. But here they are. Here are the 10 clues to unlock this movie, and we're going to use these as we watch the movie, possibly. So the first clue is pay attention to the beginning of the film. Mm-hmm. 2 clues are revealed before the opening credits.
Yep.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And second clue, notice appearances of the red lampshade. The third clue, can you hear the title of the film that Adam Kesher is auditioning actresses for? Is it mentioned again? All right. Next one, number 4. An accident is a terrible event. Notice the location of the accident. And number 5, who gives a key and why? Number 6, knows the robe, the ashtray, the coffee cup.
Yep.
And 7, was felt, realized, and gathered at the Club Silencio. And 8, did talent alone help Camilla? 9, knows the occurrences surrounding the man behind Winkies. And finally, number 10, where is Aunt Ruth? All right. Now, as I mentioned before, this was based on a pilot, and apparently after David Lynch gave the pilot to ABC, the executives there just had nothing to do with it. Originally, Mark Frost and Lynch were going to do like a series on Marilyn Monroe, but Lynch didn't want to dive into anything too realistic for that.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Ryan.
This originally began life as a spin-off of Twin Peaks.
Mm-hmm.
For the character of Audrey Horne, who gets... Well, actually, I'm not going to say because you haven't seen the end of Season 2 yet, but strange things happen to her that will continue to reverberate throughout the series, but it's fascinating to think that maybe in a different timeline, this could have been starring Sherilyn Fenn, which is a weird thought to have.
Yeah.
You know, that's a good thing, too, because when you look at Sherilyn Fenn, she does have sort of that Norma Jean Marilyn aspect. She's like Marilyn Monroe, but with a brunette hair.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it wasn't until... So once that series failed, there was a French producer named Pierre Elleman, who's one of the heads of Studio Canal, and he saw the pilot, he dug it, and then decided to put up the money. And I gotta say, right off the bat here, I don't think Mulholland Drive would work as a series back then. I don't think it would work now as a series. Do you think that it would work as a series?
I think it would work now in the age of streaming. I don't think that it could have survived on network television, though. Like, not even possible.
That is true. Like, oh, you're saying if you had to like binge all the episodes all at once?
Yeah, like if you could come to it at your leisure and you didn't have commercials, I think that you could actually have something that sustained like a vibe and sustained an audience. But this is a pre-Lost time where people actually got into spending actual money for serialized stories. Mm-hmm. So I don't think that it would have worked at the time.
Yeah, I don't know, Jason. What do you think?
That's a fair point. I think it's good as a movie. Because I can't see it. If it were a TV show, I can't see it going past one season. Like, what would like extended season of this whole story be? I mean, everything gets wrapped up pretty, tightly towards the end and everything. So I think it's better as a movie.
I think it would have to look like season 2 of Twin Peaks, where eventually David Lynch kind of leaves and kind of leaves everything in charge of somebody else, and then it kind of goes to just nonsense for like 5 weeks.
Yeah.
But you never know. I mean, maybe he learned something from that experience. I don't know. I guess we'll never know.
That's true. That's very true. What we're going to do right now, folks, is we're going to just take a quick little break. I'm going to play some ads from some amazing podcast shows that you should listen to, and then we'll be back to talk about the beginning of Mulholland Drive.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Was A Quiet Place inspired by Signs, It Comes at Night, and War for the Planet of the Apes? Was Ready Player One influenced by Avatar, Wreck-It Ralph, and The Last Starfighter? Is The Hurricane Heist more influenced by Sharknado or Geostorm? These are the kinds of questions my guest co-hosts and I discuss on my podcast, Piecing It Together. Every week we look at a new movie and try to figure out what other movies inspired it. Whether it's the story, the character development, tone, or even use of music. Every movie was influenced by something that came before it, and we want to figure out what. Check out Piecing It Together on your favorite podcast app, or check us out on piecingpod.com. You can also follow us on social media at piecingpod. Piecing It Together is a part of the All Points West podcast network.
Hi everyone, this is Tim Costa.
I'm Hermano da Silva.
And this is Walter Vinci.
And together we are the First Time Watchers podcast.
Each week we choose a movie to review that none of us has seen.
Watch it together.
And then discuss.
These movies could be new.
Or old.
Or on our list of shame.
You can find us on iTunes by searching for the First Time Watchers podcast.
As well as on Stitcher.
And we love interacting with our listeners, so if you have any suggestions, send us a tweet.
An email.
Or post to our Facebook page.
We'd love to hear from you.
That's right. I mean, it's all about interaction.
And talk about what we love, movies.
And you don't have to worry about us going on and on about this and that and the other. And let's talk about this minutiae
Shut up.
And I wonder who the gas can
God damn it, shut up!
I think that's enough, Walter.
This podcast is a proud member of the Lamb Podcasting Network. Find the network at largeassmovieblogs.com.
This podcast is a proud member of the Let's Chat Club. Find out how you can become a member by going to the website letschatpodcast.net.
What happened?
There was an accident. A car accident.
From David Lynch, the director of Twin Peaks and Blue Velvet.
Could be someone's missing.
The girl is missing.
I just came here from Deep River, Ontario, and now I'm in this dream place. I just don't know who I am. That money, you don't know where it came from.
Oh, by the way, those 2 detectives came by again looking for you.
Someone is in trouble. Something bad is happening.
Now you got me scared.
There is no band, and yet we hear a band.
Silencio. I remember something. What is it, Rita? What is it? What do you see? Mulholland Drive. Mulholland Drive. That's where I was going.
Diane, the car's waiting. You coming?
Alright everybody, we are back. Welcome back to the Cinema Recalls map of Mulholland Drive. I have my 2 navigators here, Jason Soto of the wonderful podcast, Whatever with Jason Soto, as well as Ryan Luis Rodriguez of the wonderful podcast, The Reels of Justice, and The Coolness Chronicles. Now, you just heard a small little trailer of the movie. Now, Mulholland Drive begins with the opening title credits of the studios. Now, I should notice, too, that Mulholland Drive would probably be the last movie that he would make with a major studio, especially one like Universal.
Yeah.
Right? And after the title credits, we get these people dancing in front of this purple screen.
Mm-hmm.
And they're dancing. We get these superimposed shots of Betty, played by Naomi Watts, and she's there with 2 older people, and she's all smiling and happy. And then we did a sequence where we see a POV shot of someone waking up, and they're just kind of like waking up from something, and then laying back down. Their POV shot of like going into the pillow. Now I know when I first watched that movie first time, I had no idea what that was or where I was.
Yeah, it disorients you right off the bat. I mean, with just the dancing, it seems like a deleted nightmare sequence from Swingers, but it's actually from this movie, which is strange. But yeah, it immediately throws things at you and tries to discombobulate you as much as possible. So hats off. Now, if that's what you were trying to do, you did it.
Now, in the TV pilot, this scene is not included.
Okay, yeah.
So,
yeah, that's right. Yes.
So after you see the face going into the pillow, and it took me several times to understand that this was actually a face going into a pillow. I had no idea, but it is someone like waking up from one dream and going into another. And since we are reviewing a movie that's nearly over, like, I would say 20 years old, the part of the dancing sequence, that is a sequence that Diane talks about at the end of the movie, saying that she won a jitterbug contest, which led to her acting. And so this is like basically Diane's dream of one dream, waking up and going to another dream. This is where
she has the whitest possible dream possible.
Yes. Jitterbugs and square dances and we all dream about swing dancing. Remember square dancing at your elementary school or
yeah,
totally.
My least favorite part of PE.
All right, for me it was college, so it's like a very kind of embarrassing point right there. But after this, we get this sequence where Laura Elena's character is in her car, and we have the credit sequence. Now, in the pilot that I saw, there was a lot more names, and they had special guest stars. I didn't realize this, but Ron Howard was one of the executive producers because this was going to be produced by Imagine Entertainment.
That's right.
And so we get the sequence of the Laura Elena Herron's character in the car. The car stops. She says, "We can't stop here." Guy pulls a gun on her, and then there's kids doing some sort of like drag racing or just driving fast.
They're just eating and hollering down Mulholland Drive. I don't know if it was even drag racing. They were just woo!
It's a scene straight out of the opening of Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Except there's no CGI gophers in this film. Thank God.
And no one's touching the refrigerator.
Yeah, well, that's a missed opportunity. But yeah.
Yeah. So she gets into an accident with these kids. The car is destroyed. She comes out. It's not really known that she has amnesia yet. And she makes it to this home of this lady who is going away and decides to hide out there. But before that, we have a sequence with two cops investigating the accident and what's going on with that. What's your take on those two cops? Because they're only in this one scene.
Yeah, that's the part that bums me out that this didn't go to series, because one of them is Robert Forster, who was the fucking man. And I think that clearly Lynch knew that character would come back and have some kind of bigger role in it, because otherwise you don't go to those actors unless you're going to give them something to kind of chew on.
Yeah.
But as it is, he vanishes after a single scene, and he's only referenced after that, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is a hell of a thing to do to Robert Forster, because when he shows up at the beginning of your movie and he's not in every other scene afterwards, I get a little sad.
That's true. And I do know that in the TV pilot, there is an additional scene with him there, because I imagine they were going to use that detective in later episodes if this did go to a series.
Yeah. If they mention him halfway through, hey, those detectives were by, but then that's it, and then we never get to see him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then we're at the moment where the character played by Laura Elena Helen. Sorry, I wrote this down. Laura Elena Herron. God, people with 3 names. Weirds me out. Okay. So she gets to the home of this lady who's like going away on a trip, and she manages to like sneak into her place. I gotta say, kudos on you to be able to sneak into someone's house when they're like right there.
Yeah, that's not easy. You gotta give credit to that.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, especially to like hide in their kitchen and like right there, and she doesn't like look down. I mean, she grabs her keys. She doesn't see anything. Most people, especially the way the lights were, you would expect to see some sort of like shadow or something.
Yeah, I've learned from my personal experiences that you always want to go into their crawl space, never their kitchen.
Yeah.
Crawl space. Okay, keep this in mind when I'm visiting your guys' home. Go into your crawl space.
Well, as long as you don't mind the smell of dead bodies, you'll be okay.
Whoa. Okay. Nice. All right. Now we get into like kind of like our first main scene that I want to talk about, and it's the diner sequence at Winkies.
Yes.
So we're introduced to sort of like, well, the first character that I associate myself with when watching this is the girl that got into the accident, because we're kind of like following her, and she doesn't know where she is. She's very confused, and she gets to the home of this lady. She's hiding out there. And so I'm thinking, okay, well, this is going to be our main audience focal point. But then we cut to the scene where these 2 guys are sitting at this diner, all right? And one of them has this dream where he's at this exact same restaurant, and he's telling this to this guy across the booth from him. And then he tells his friend that he sees his friend by the counter being scared, which scares him. And then he talks about this man in the back of this restaurant that scares him, and he says he's the one that's doing it. And his friend says, so you came here to see about a dream. And the guy goes, well, I came here to shake this unsightly feeling. His friend stands up, and the dream starts to sort of like become real. I just want you guys kind of in small interpretations of that first part.
First off, I want to comment that the diner is a Denny's. Let's just get past that now, because the logo is Denny's.
It's okay.
Like they call it Winkies, but like he's totally doing Denny's. Secondly, I don't know what the hell is going on with that guy behind the alley. Like that dude creeps me the fuck out, and that he just like appears and scares the one guy to death, like literal death, and then he just disappears. And then he's gone until later in the movie.
I will say that the person who plays the bum is a woman. The actress name is Bonnie Aarons. And
I thought that was a woman, but they kept saying it was a man.
Well, she's probably playing a man. She's best known for playing the nun in the horror movie The Nun.
Oh. So she
Really?
had a thing back then that she continued to today. That's nice.
Yeah.
Okay. That's cool.
So, very cool indeed. And then also, I did read there too, that bum behind the Denny / Winkies was inspired by Lynch actually going to a Denny's and seeing the head of a satanic church at a booth.
That's awesome.
And apparently,
Tuesday for
I guess,
David Lynch.
and Lynch said the guy was actually pretty friendly, but there was like a group of Satanists hanging out at a Denny's having coffee.
Where else do Satanists hang out? I mean, Denny's is like the number one place I'd think Satanists would hang out at.
Well, that and like Buffalo Wild Wings.
Yeah.
Nah, too sporty for Satanists. I don't think Satanists aren't to sports.
But they love mozzarella sticks.
Satan loves the mozzarella sticks and a Grand Slam breakfast.
Yes.
Damn right.
So while these 2 gentlemen are there, and I should also mention too that the 2 gentlemen at the place, one of them is played by Patrick Fischler. He's the guy who's actually telling the story. He's the character of Dan. He's known for being in the movies Ghost World, Speed and The Shadow.
Yep.
Yeah.
Had a really good role on Angel for like 2 or 3 episodes in season 4.
Oh, really?
Always shows up doing weird, eccentric people.
Yeah.
And did recently, there's a movie called The Standoff at Sparrow Creek that is really good about a militia. He's in that as well, and he's fantastic in it.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, I noticed that he just done like a lot of TV show work, and I'm like, oh, I remember that show. Don't remember him in that show, but I remember that show. So
yeah, if you were to take all of his roles and just crossed out the names of the characters and wrote eccentric, that would be him.
Okay. Love it. And the other guy who's sitting with them is the character of Herb, played by Michael Cook. And the only movie that I recognize being in his filmography was Showgirls.
Oh, really?
Which is
this is Showgirls, huh?
Yep. he's like other movies too, but like I don't recognize the titles. But I saw Showgirls, I'm like, oh, okay, hell yeah.
What a filmography.
Well, sometimes in a filmography, Jason, that's all you really need. Sometimes it's just Showgirls.
Yeah.
I mean, he got to work with 2 of the greatest directors of the 21st century, so good on him.
Yeah, exactly.
Hell yeah. And then we get to the sequence where both Herb and Dan are in the alleyway, and they're making their way to the section behind where the dumpster is. And I don't know about you, gentlemen, but this is one sequence that no matter how many times I see it, it still makes me jump.
Yeah. I when you said what we were going to be watching through, and you mentioned it as a jump scare, I didn't think of it that way. But then when I was watching it again this time, I was surprised by how far I jumped off my seat when it happened. It was about nice. 3 inches.
See? Did you jump this time, Jason?
No. I don't get scared that easily. That's why I watch a lot of horror movies, and I'm okay. Mm-hmm. And I was more just like waiting for it, and it was like, then it happened, and I was like, oh, there it is. But no, I didn't jump or get scared or anything.
What, did you flinch?
Not in movies, no. I mean, maybe once in a while, like, you know, if something really suddenly does happen, like The Conjuring. Anything that happened during The Conjuring, I did flinch or get scared at. But most other movies, like, no, I don't really fall for jump scares.
Like, I would say that sequence and the moment in Jaws where the head appears in the boat is the moments that always...
I can see that. Yeah, well, that makes sense.
I don't, like, scream, but I get, like, jolted, like, oh, I know it's coming, but where I think it's happening, it doesn't, and then it appears when I least expect it, and then I'm like, oh, there you are, you fucker. Head, fucking shark and shit. Yes. Yeah, so that we get to the end of that sequence, and then after that, there is a scene where a bunch of telephone calls are being made, and each person is saying, the girl is missing.
Mm-hmm.
And this is like kind of the last thing I want to talk about. What is your take on this? It's like some sort of like mysterious corporation that's happening.
Well, this seems to be centered around... I know we're not exactly there yet, but this seems to be centered around a movie being made, and some shady organization really wants a certain girl to be cast into it. And then at the same time, I think they're looking for the girl that was in the car accident at the beginning, and they really need her for a reason that we won't get into yet. But I believe they're talking about her, like the girl in the car accident, and probably need her for the reason.
Yeah. They're concerned that this girl's missing, that she was on her way to some sort of like casting party or
something, yeah.
Something. I mean, even something more sinister too. I kind of thought that she would be involved like in the casting couch sort of thing. Maybe they were going to try to like solicit her into like
that could be, or it could be she could have been the girl that they originally wanted, but because she went missing, they went with the Camille girl.
Yeah, that could be. Okay. So we did the sequence there of like them calling, and then at the last place they call is, I think, our first appearance of the Red Lamp.
The Red Lamp, yes.
Yep.
So we're we're seeing that there, so we're kind of noticing those particular clues right there. Now, I mentioned before, what were the 2 clues that were revealed before the opening credits for their first clue?
I think the first thing might have something to do with the dancing.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's like the first clue is something to do with the dancing and how it ties to Naomi Watts' character. And then I think the second clue is the bed sequence.
Okay, like the kind of waking up and going back into another dream, that sort of thing right there. Okay.
And then I read. Someone pointed out that the road sign, doesn't say Mulholland Drive. It says Mulholland Dr. And that you can take that to mean Mulholland Dream.
Oh.
Interesting.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting when I saw that. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah.
That's a different take right there. I dig that. I don't know, Ryan, you got any other like kind of takes on that opening sequence as well as the other ones we described so far?
Yeah, well, the flash frames of Naomi Watts and who could possibly be her parents, her grandparents, I don't know. It's not typically clear, but it is also something that resurfaces at the very end of the film as some kind of like thematic bookend. Mm-hmm. But I couldn't honestly tell you what it was supposed to mean.
And am I mistaken that those same old people were the same old people that came out of the airport with Naomi Watts?
Yes, we're gonna get.
Yes, yeah.
We are gonna get to them on most likely the next episode. So yes, we're gonna be very excited about that. Yeah. Now, as I mentioned before, okay, so that sequence I described about the Winkies dance sequence, that's cut out of the pilot. So if you watch the pilot, it just begins with the car ride, the accident, the girl getting into the house, and then basically we cut right away out to where Betty, the appearance of Betty, shows up, and Betty will make her appearance on our next episode. We're going to close the map right now on that particular sequence. But before we go, I actually have a lot of great people reached out on both Twitter as well as our Facebook group, Crack. And so I'm going to read some of you. These are viewers' picks on their favorite David Lynch movies. All right? So, Cult Connections, which is at Connections Cult, said, it's Dune. It's Dean in his leather underpants all the way for me. Nice.
Can you argue with the man? I mean, come on.
That's true.
He's right.
And then Sci-Fi Punks podcast at sci-fi_punks said, from what I've seen, probably Dune, so I haven't seen much. And I gotta say, I like Dune.
That's a little unfair to Dune, but hey, I mean, you got 2 in a row that would say Dune, so that says something.
Yeah.
Howard Kastner of Pop Art fame said, when I first saw Mulholland Drive, it didn't work for me. Then I read the first part is the dream and the second reality. At that point, my mind exploded, and upon rewatching, realized it was a masterpiece and my favorite David Lynch movie. So, thank you, Howard. Chris at BrewFan004 said, The Elephant Man. Ryan L. Terry of Forza Crowd Podcast, find him at RLTerry1, said Mulholland Drive. LL Kendall at FemNoir3 said Lost Highway.
Good one.
Oh, yeah.
Very good. If actually, we mentioned for last episode too, this is like probably the prequel to Mulholland Drive.
It does feel like it does,
It's the testing ground for the ideas that would eventually come to fruition in this.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Fallen Films at Fallen_Films said Wild at Heart. Very cool choice. I'm actually seeing Wild at Heart tomorrow in 35mm at the Heights Theater.
So lucky.
So very excited to watch that. Big thank you to everyone who... Oh, and then also I had some responses on our Facebook group. Our Facebook group is called Crack, which stands for Cinema Recall's awesome cinematic club. And so I had some people, so I put up to there, what is your favorite David Lynch movies? Only had 2 responses. So Jordan Jetsky, buddy of mine, band member for Scale of None that I'm in, he said Wild at Heart, Eraserhead, and Dune. And then Dave also said Blue Velvet, because he put a post of Heineken, fuck that shit, Pabst Blue Ribbon, Blue Velvet, which is probably, one of my favorite quotes of that movie. Love it completely. So that's it for kind of our first section here for Mulholland Drive. Before we go, I want our guests to sort of like plug the shows they're working on or anything they want to share. So I'll start with you, Jason. Please share away. You have a book that's out now.
Yes, I do.
So please plug that. Please plug whatever.
Yeah, okay. So the book is I wrote a series of time travel science fiction short stories, basically. It's called Time in My Hands. Volumes 1 and 2 and 3 are out. You can get them on Amazon. And if you're into time travel, if you're a time travel geek like I am, I definitely recommend it. My podcast is called Whatever with Jason Soto. It's a comedy podcast that I do with my friend Mary Mitchell. I do it every week. She was a former guest on this show last month. Mm-hmm. She did Barry Lyndon with Vern. Talk about a boring movie that I have no interest in seeing, but you guys made it sound interesting. So,
thank you, Jason.
So kudos to you guys. But yeah, we just do silly stuff. We just talk about whatever comes to mind, news, nostalgia, pop culture, music. We play games sometimes. Just literally whatever. We just do whatever we want for an hour and a half, and then we call it a day. So you can check that out on Spotify, Anchor, or my brand new podcast production website called Rabbit Hole Podcasts. You can find that at rabbitholepodcast.com.
Very cool. And I think for our next series, our next movies we're going to do, Jason, we're going to find a movie that's really exciting and really bold and daring and thrilling, and we're going to make the podcast really boring and dull.
Yeah. No, we're doing Mulholland Drive. That's making up for Barry Lyndon right there. So, yeah, we're all good.
But we're not making it boring. I hope we're not making it boring.
No, we're not making it boring. You're making up.
I need to find a movie that's like really fun and exciting.
All right, fine. We'll do Armageddon then. Jeez, you talked me into it.
Another fucking explosion. God damn, so bored of this.
Guns in space.
Big shout out here to you, Ryan Luis Rodriguez of Coolness Chronicles, Reels of Justice. What's going on with you, good sir?
Well, I also have a book. It's called The Da Vinci Code. They spelled my name wrong on the cover, but it's a fantastic book. And then I also have 2 podcasts, as Vern mentioned. The Coolness Chronicles, which is about to wrap up 3 years on Mystery Science Theater 3000, where I do the entire history and legacy of the show from beginning to end. By the time this drops, I'll be starting a 4-part miniseries on the Toy Story franchise.
Ooh.
That is very similar to the previous podcast in terms of style, but in terms of information, very different. And then I also co-host Reels of Justice, which Vern has been on twice, where we take a movie in a fake court and put it on trial to determine if it's guilty of being a bad movie. We have a judge, a jury, a prosecutor, a defender. It is as much fun as it is aggravating to make.
Jason, you should think about being on that show. I was on that show to defend Scrooged and Howard the Duck. And
why does anyone gotta defend Scrooge? That's like the best Christmas movie of all time, next to Die Hard.
Oh, you should listen to
you're not gonna like what I say on that episode very much.
Spoiler warning, I lost that case.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
I kicked Vern's butt. It was
very
fun.
much so, yes. Speaking of the other show, The Coolness Chronicles, I was on his most recent episode.
That's right. You were on my series finale episode.
Yep. Talking about the flick Looney Tunes Back in Action. So
that's right.
Definitely
good
check
time.
it out on all your favorite podcasting app choices.
Yep. Wherever you can find this show, you can find me.
That's right. I will post links to everyone's shows and our show notes. Of course, you can listen to all of our past episodes of Cinema Recall, and I really would greatly appreciate that you do. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher. Just type in the little search engine, Cinema Recall. We are there for you. We are on the Twitter sphere at Cinema_Recall, Facebook, Cinema Recall Podcast. Don't forget about our Facebook group, Crack, Cinema Recall's Awesome Cinematic Club, where we just post different weird, crazy things about movies. Please give us a review on like Podchaser or Apple Podcasts if you can. Please support us on Patreon because I need to find and buy a new microphone. Of course, that's patreon.com/Cinema Recall Pod. Quick little shout out here to our wonderful Patreon supporters. First of all, I'm going to thank Jeanette Miller-Mickenham at AKA Jeanette on Twitter. Thank you, Jeanette. Want to thank Matt and Ashley from Mashley at the Movies. Thank you very much. I believe that's at Mashley Movies on Twitter. Want to give a shout out here to Donnie Roberts, formerly of Cage's Kiss, now of a new podcast. And this is oh gosh, they're gonna kill me right now. But Donnie Roberts at Unreal Goals. I'm sorry, Donnie, I'm blanking on the name of your new podcast show. But you can find Donnie on Twitter at Unreal Goals. So I at least got that part right. And then another big shout out here to, of course, our co-host for this series here, Jason Soto of Whatever with Jason Soto. Thank you so much for your support, Jason.
You are most welcome. Thank you for supporting me.
Yes, very much there, folks. Anyways, this is going to be the end of our part 1 of Mulholland Drive. Stay tuned for part 2, where we'll continue more of our map of Mulholland Drive. Also, if you stay to our Patreon page, I will be posting short audio reviews of other David Lynch features. So our bonus episode this week will be on The Elephant Man. So come to our Patreon page, check that out. And that is all. Gentlemen, final last words. One word. Ryan, go. Last word.
Last word?
One word.
Cowboy.
Cowboy. All right, Jason, one word.
Lesbian.
Lesbians. I lesbians you too. All right, night everybody. Hey.
Hello.
Hello, Ryan. Hello, Jason. How you doing today, gentlemen?
Awesome.
I'm okay, I guess.
You okay? You okay? What's wrong?
Yeah.
What's wrong,
No,
Ryan?
just stuff. No, nothing.
Oh, okay.
Just stuff.
Just stuff. Stuff
Just stuff.
sucks.
Yeah, stuff does suck.
Fucking stuff. Get the fuck out of here, stuff. Think you're special or something because you're stuff? Fuck off.
Fucking elitist attitude stuff.
I know, right? Can't fucking stand you assholes. Get the fuck out of here.